week of a different, you had LSU with the I form, the two tight ends.
Right.
Then you had A&M spread it out. Your linebackers did a great job there, three interceptions. How has it changed now for that group against an Auburn team that wants to be balanced? And why is your linebacker group so able to adapt to so many offenses?
Well, probably the biggest thing is we have so much experience and so much depth. You know, when you have an All-American at Mike linebacker and his backup is the National Defensive Player of the Year, you know, it helps to have that kind of depth and being able to roll guys through and play at a high level. So they've seen a lot of different football, I-back, spread. You know, Coach Malzahn's system is probably one of the best in the country. So just being able to adapt week to week to those kind of systems, I think it's the experience that those guys have.
How much does it help going up against Mississippi State's offense, too, just in general against other offenses?
Yeah, and there's a lot of similarities. You know, both have big physical offensive lines, great receivers on the perimeter, you know, big-time tailbacks, and a quarterback, you know, on both offenses that makes everything happen. You know, runs the ball really well and makes great decisions in the throwing game and can get the ball to his playmaker. So the similarities are there. So we understand it's a big challenge, and, you know, we're excited to go up against, you know, Coach Malzahn and, you know, that offense.
What, if anything, can you take from last year's success against them defensively?
You know, I think just the big thing is, you know, understanding the run fits. They do a great job of running the football. You know, I think we did a decent job defending the run last year, and, you know, understand that, you know, that was early in the season. As the season went on, it started getting, you know, more and more powerful. And then the SEC championship game, you know, I think they ran for, you know, 500 yards, maybe something like that. So we understand how talented they are. We understand, you know, how good they are, and the scheme is one of the best in the country. So we got our work cut out for us, and we understand that.
You talk about last year's game. It's kind of a redemption game with the way, you know, they came down and scored final minutes there. It's kind of redemption for your defense this year.
Every game is a big game for us. So we understand that, you know, when we get out there on Saturday afternoon, that, you know, we gotta play hard. We gotta run to the ball. We gotta be physical, and we gotta fit up the run and, you know, defend the deep ball.
Last week, especially not just because Richie got 3 interceptions, but you did a really good job with the underneath passing game and took away one of A&M's strengths. And not just what that says about the linebackers, but what your front guys were able to do against a good passing team.
Yeah, I think somebody said a stat that we had 10 pressures last year, which something they had only given up 4 on the season. I think we had 4 sacks. They'd given up 3, something like that. So that was a big emphasis, and I think the DBs did a great job of giving the pass rush time to get there. You know, we made a big emphasis on protecting the deep ball, not letting anything get thrown over the top of us, and forcing the underneath throws and give our D-line time to work. And I think the DBs did a great job of that.
How big of a deal was that for you last week to see Richie get those 3 interceptions? You're a linebackers guy, and you like to create mayhem. And one of your guys comes up with 3 picks in one game.
And further, they're all our guys. You know, so we love each and every one of them the same. But the funny thing about Richie is the very first day I got here, Richie Brown's tape was the first one I watched. So Coach Felker brought me the tape my first day and said, "Hey, watch this kid from Long Beach, see what you think about him." And you know, Coach Felker was in love with him, and you know, I think the Bulldog Nation is the 3 years that he's been here. He's a quality individual, you know, highly intelligent, great student, hard worker. You can't say enough positive things about Richie Brown, and you know, I'm lucky I get to coach him, and I'm proud every day.
It's almost a surprise at this point that Benardrick has almost kind of slipped in the background because Richie's making great plays, Beniquez is doing so much, and yet there's when all comes down there.
I don't know about Benardrick McKinney slipping into the background, but you know, he's 6'5", 256. I think he's pretty noticeable. But you know, I think the thing that's neat is that the person that was the happiest for Richie Brown's success was Benardrick McKinney. You know, and that's huge. You know, that's a guy that, you know, for all intents and purposes, they compete for the same spot. But Richie Brown is Benardrick's biggest fan. Benardrick McKinney is Richie Brown's biggest fan. You don't see that everywhere. I think that's a neat thing that we have in our room. Same thing with Matt Wells and Jack Jackson, Beniquez and Turtle. And I think almost at all positions, because we play so many guys, they know they're going to get their reps. They know they're going to get their time to play, so they embrace it when, you know, somebody else gets to shine and, you know, makes big plays. Like Will Redmond had a great game Saturday. Jamerson Love to Vez Calhoun to Lando were as happy for Will making those plays as they would be for themselves.
Go ahead. Are Richie and Beniquez ahead of schedule, do you think, in terms of being a redshirt sophomore and taking the responsibilities that they've taken?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I kind of think they're right where they need to be. You know, the program that Coach Mullen has set is all about development. You know, Des Harris right now is on that same plan that Richie and Benico is on. Play on special teams. Do a great job on special teams. You see Des, he's the first one down on every single kickoff. The first one down at 6'3", 240. So the development of the player within this program is huge. And so Beniquez and Richie played a lot on special teams. Then they started playing a lot on defense. Now they're playing at a high level on defense. One of the biggest plays of the game on Saturday was 4th and 1. We had just turned the ball over in our territory. We came out there, put the ball down, came up with a huge 4th down stop, and that was Beniquez Brown. They checked the play. Beniquez knew where they were going to go with the ball and ran back there and made a tackle for a loss, got him off the field. So just those little things make you really proud as a coach, you know, because there's certain things that we might not have even covered, but they're operating at such a high level that they can make those plays. So I'm just lucky to coach those kids.
In your view, why does the Malzahn offense work?
I think he's a great play caller. I mean, obviously it's a great scheme. You know, it's a lot of misdirection. At the heart of it is a power-based physical attack. So they play really physical. They play really hard. They play really sound. They attack every single spot on the defense. You know, and that's hard because if you know where something's going to go, well, you can kind of load up it against their system. They can hit you on the perimeter. They can hit you downfield. They can hit you underneath. They can run inside. They can run outside. And they can misdirection. And, you know, I think he's one of the best play callers in the game. So he knows what to do with the football. And he's got kids that have some experience and some confidence that they know what to do and they believe in the system. So I think, you know, all of that put together makes them who they are, you know, and we understand that that's a challenge for us.
Against LSU, there was a play where Jennings kept it, but A.J. Jefferson went out and just decked Fournette. And the same thing kind of happened with A&M where every single play, even if it was over the middle, they caught it, but they pay for catching it. Is that kind of a mindset of the defense that they may get some yards, but make them pay for every yard and impose the physicality on them?
Absolutely. And the big thing, too, is we understood how potent Texas A&M was on offense. Mm-hmm. We understand the capabilities that they posed as an offensive threat. The first series, I mean, it was boom, 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 touchdown. But our kids have so much experience and so much confidence. Hey, let's settle down, let's regroup, and go out there and get a stop. And also having belief in Dak and, you know, Josh and the line, our guys. I think it's a great team effort because everybody kind of fed off each other. Everybody believed in each other, and we were able to overcome that first drive.